So following on from my previous video, you can see that we've been on a downtrend and we've also been trading below the 50 EMA. And so essentially that 50 EMA has been acting as a level of resistance. So for example, here, what you can see is we ended up retesting that 50 EMA. We got rejected, which then led to this move to the downside. And since then, we've seen a pump to the upside where we then retested the 50 EMA once again. And since then, we found support. And so in order for us to remain bullish, then we need algo to continue to find support at that level and see a continuation to the upside where we then break this level at 18.15 cents, which is the local top. And in doing so, that would then result in a break of structure and change of character on smart money concept, further confirming that we are bullish. And then the next key level will be the 200 DMA, which during the time of recording sits at 18.58 cents. And so in order for this scenario to play out, essentially what would end up forming is a WXY structure, which I'll get to in a minute. But first of all, I'll break down this structure that took place, where essentially what ended up forming was we had a corrective move play out made up of a WXY structure, where this was the W wave, this was the X wave, and we had a Y wave play out also. And so using the Fib tool, what we can do is check to see if that Y wave met the typical requirements, which is anywhere between 1 to 1.226 of the W wave. And here you can see that we ended up tapping into that region. And so it's possible that what we are forming is a WXY structure, where that Y wave will then retest the 200 DMA. And so if I use the Fib tool, and bring that to over here. And so what you can see is Algo has the potential to reach anywhere between 18.47 cents to 18.81 cents. And so if that's the case, it's possible that we ended up bottoming out within this region that I set out previously, between 16.09 cents to 16.93 cents. And here you can see that we ended up tapping into that region and we ended up reaching 16.81 cents. And so it's possible that we ended up bottoming out and then we see a move to the upside. And the flip side to that could be that we are still slightly bearish, and what we could see is a continuation to the downside where we break this level at 16.81 cents and then we tap slightly deeper within this range here. And so for that to happen, essentially what we need to see is a WXY structure form also. But what you can see is during the time of recording, we are slightly bullish, as you can see by this green candlestick. And so if we do have a WXY structure forming, that X wave would typically retrace anywhere between 50 to 88.2%. And so using the Fib tool, what you can see is that 88.2% retracement level actually sits at 18.02 cents, and we've extended beyond that level. And so it will be interesting to see if we get a double top scenario that will play out, where the X wave would retrace towards that 100% retracement level of the W wave, and then we see a move to the downside where we then potentially see another double bottom where we actually retest that level once again, and then we see another push to the upside. And so if I use the Fib tool and bring this to over here at 18.07 cents, then what you can see is Algo has the potential to reach anywhere between 16.81 cents to 17.05 cents, so anywhere within this range here. And so again, we could get a double bottom scenario that will play out, and then we see another push to the upside. Now, one thing to note is that we are within the overbought conditions, and so the bears could slowly regain control of the market. But despite us being within overbought conditions, you can see that the bulls still have the momentum. And if I go in the 4-hour chart, what you can also see is we are within the overbought conditions also, and so again, the bears could slowly regain control of the market. And what you can also see is we are still trading below the 50 and 200 DMA on the 4-hour chart, and so we are still slightly bearish. But again, the next key target will be for Algo to retest that 50 DMA, which sits at 18.56 cents, which more or less aligns with the 200 DMA on the hourly chart. Now, if I go in the daily chart, what you can see is I am currently tracking a 5-wave move to the upside. Now, I did talk about the potential for Algo to tap into this region here, which of course is still possible, but I am still looking for Algo to either bottom out within this range, which we have done already at 16.81 cents. And the flip side to that could be that we tap slightly deeper within this range and break this level also. And so I'm not necessarily looking for Algo to tap into this region unless, of course, something spooks the market and we see a deeper move. And what I'm looking for is a further move to the upside. And what you can see is this move to the upside was made up of a 5-wave move, where what we ended up having play out was this being the wave 1, this being the wave 2, this being the wave 3, 4, and 5. And then we had the WXYXZ structure that I've been tracking, where we ended up tapping into this region. And so again, it's possible that we end up bottoming out and we see a move to the upside. And so what I'm looking at for is either a WXY structure to the upside, where if I was to set up that target for the Y wave, and bring that to over here. So that Y wave could reach anywhere between 29.88 cents to 34.22 cents, anywhere within this region, within a WXY structure. And the flip side to that could be that we are ultra bullish and we retrace towards the 1.618 retracement level, which sits at 42.63 cents. And essentially what will then play out is a 5-wave move, where what we could see is this being a wave 1 made up of a 5-wave structure, this being a wave 2 made up of a WXYXZ structure, and this being a wave 3 where we retrace towards the 1.618 retracement level. And because the wave 1 is made up of 5 waves, then the wave 3 and the wave 5 will also need to be made up of 5 waves. And then we see a retracement to the downside to complete the 4th wave, followed by a final push to the upside, where we could potentially retest the local top at 61.25 cents. Now, in addition to that, what you can also see is we are reaching the oversold conditions. And so, again, the bears could slowly begin to lose control of the market. That could then possibly mean that we end up bottoming out within this range that I set out previously. And then we see the bulls then regain control of the market. And we could see that scenario play out where we either tap into this range, where we get a WXY structure form, or we see a deeper move to the upside, where we see a 5-wave structure form and we retest this local top at around 61.75 cents. And so, yeah, that's just my update on Algo, and hopefully you found it useful. And if you did, then feel free to hit that like button. And if you're new, feel free to subscribe. Take it easy, people. Peace.